What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. More Birthright coverage here as we keep working our way through the various Brecht realms of the Western Reaches. So we got another long one for you today. It seems like every realm in the Western Reaches is one of those sort of double pagers here, and just lots of info to digest. So Kiergard is up today. It's chaotic evil and definitely not one that's available for PC use, given that it's a puppet kingdom for the Gorgon. And it's a pretty sizable one as well. So the once proud realm of Kiergard now lies at the feet of the Gorgon. Its formerly fertile provinces now barely grow enough food to support its slave populace. And as you can see, size-wise, basically, for the most part, unsettled or very low settling, although we have a 4 and 2 5s there, just to kind of reflect sort of the former prestige and sort of former development of what the realm once was. So we'll get into the Law, Temple, Guild, and Source situation here. As we can see, the Law is all under one control. We'll get into that. Temple-wise, same thing there. So the Fingers of Azrai, ominous name there. Guild situation is a little more diverse, but we'll get into that. And then the sources we'll talk about as well. So the Law side. So Owen Spakeheart is a level 7 fighter. He's lawful evil, and he rules Kiergard as a puppet for the Gorgon. However, he may be replaced soon. Brand Mornsinger, a level 12 ranger, so pretty high up there, an heir to the supposedly destroyed royal house of Kiergard, has resurfaced in the Thuringode forest and has begun a guerrilla war against the realm's overlords. But very much an uphill battle there. And could also be replaced by the Gorgon if the Gorgon feels that he's not doing his job as well. So that's always a threat there if you're serving the Gorgon. Temple-wise, the Fingers of Azrai comprise a cult of worshippers under the direct control of the Hand of Azrai. And we'll get into that in a little bit more detail when we look at the Gorgon himself in the Blood Enemies accessory for the Gorgon's Crown. Or also when we've already looked at the Gorgon's Crown in the initial tour of the Anuiran realms, so you can also get some information there. Now, the temple has a high priest and a central temple, which is located in Daum. But again, that's not part of this realm. So the guild side is, like I said, a little bit more diverse, but again, it's all still sort of under the thumb of the Gorgon. The slave drivers are Knoll, Orog, and human servants, all handpicked by the Gorgon. They control bands of slaves that work the fields of Kiergard and fish along the coast. Virtually all the food produced is shipped to Daum and then sent by ship to Fellport. So, again, really just there to help feed the Gorgon's war engine and just give the populace barely enough to survive on. Sources. So, no wizard has dared claim source holdings in Kiergard since the Gorgon took control of the territory. That is, until recently. The Sayer of Kulavi, for no known reason, has extended a ley line into Torinar and built up a source holding. And given the fact that's still there, it's unlikely that the Gorgon knows of its existence. Now, that being said, there is a second one also in Kuliberd. So really there's 2 source holdings, to be perfectly accurate. Now, the Regency of the realm, and again, this is more all for DMs who will need to sort of run this realm if adventuring is happening in and around here, since it's not a player-specific realm. But 44 and 20, so as far as generated and accumulated. And then virtually all the Regency produced by the realm are passed on to the Gorgon. The Gorgon then decides what portion of his influence to turn back to Kiergard. So as if the Gorgon, didn't already have enough resources, basically he's also have any of these puppet realms are essentially there to feed additional resources, whether it's Regency, troops, food, other supplies, and or gold. Speaking of that, the treasury currently sits at 15 gold bars. An additional 10 are hidden in Onwen's special retirement fund in Meckelsburg. So again, the puppet ruler here does have, or thinks he has at least, a escape plan to potentially get rid of or get out from under the thumb of the Gorgon should things not keep going the way they are. And then on the army side, pretty formidable here as well. The Gorgon pays and maintains the armed units of Kiergard out of the tribute he receives from its provinces. Onwin supposedly commands these troops, though in time of serious troubles, the Gorgon sends one of his more trusted lieutenants, like the Hand of Azrai, to oversee the following military units. So there's 2 units of dwarf crossbows, so very good elite missile units there. A whole bunch of the non-humans, so 4 goblin infantry, 2 goblin cavalry, 2 gnoll infantry, which is definitely a little more powerful, and an orog infantry unit. Then we have some mercenary cavalry as well, a couple of scouts, and then even a small navy here, 2 round ships, and a actual galleon as well. So, that being said, the Gorgon certainly could send more direct aid with just any of the giant amount of units that he has at his disposal, and vice versa. So, if you were somehow trying to tackle the Gorgon's crown, the Gorgon himself, and Kiergard would certainly be a participating puppet state with what is already another sizable army for any realm on top of all that craziness. So, now on to the current regent. Onwin Spakehart knows the Gorgon watches his every move in Kiergard, and he desperately wishes Bran Mornsinger had chosen to wait another 20 or 30 years before causing trouble in the realm. Basically a coward and a conniver, Onwin gained the regency of Kiergard after proving, to the Gorgon's satisfaction, that the last regent took more than his fair share of the slave drivers' profits before shipping them back east. That unfortunate ruler's skull still moans silently from the pinnacle of Overwatch Tower in Daum. Other important NPCs. The leader of the Slave Drivers Guild is an Orog named Scavix Redfurrow. Pretty solid levels there too. Level 6 fighter, level 7 thief, even with a bloodline as well. If anyone in Kiergard feels secure in his position, it would be Scavix. He gained his surname by staining the tilled earth of Kiergard with the blood of the slaves who collapsed under his foreman's whips. He milks as much profit out of Kiergard's blasted land as possible. And certainly if adventuring were happening in and around the realm, that would be a prime target for PCs who wanted to help destabilize the realm, maybe, and aiding in Bran Mornsinger's quest to sort of restore the realm. That would be an important key figure to try and take out. And certainly would be something that would upset the Gorgon. Although the consequences of upsetting the Gorgon could certainly be pretty devastating. But anyway, on to the next one here. On the rebel side of Kiergard's conflict, Bran Mornsinger may or may not be a descendant of Kiergard's lost nobility, but he inspires Kiergardians to rebel like no captain ever has. Against all odds, he's actually raised a small band of warriors, some from as far away as Bearhagen and Danagau, and escaped slaves, and led them against the fortress of Esden on the edge of Kiergard, opposite from his center of power. Esden is now a smoking ruin, and Onwin has yet to regain complete control of the province. So on top of everything else going on, you have this sort of ongoing guerrilla campaign, which may or may not be gaining steam, but if at some point, certainly, if the Gorgon sort of puppet rulers can't handle it, that would more likely than not lead to some direct attention by the Gorgon, which, again, thus far, no one has been able to stand up to. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops and plays out in a campaign. Some say Brand is one of the few humans who ventured into Kuladarite and returned safely. If that rumor is true, then it would explain the Sayer of Kulavi's expansion into Kiergard as well. So, could be some interesting ties there. That could be played up. The temple leader of the Fingers of Azrai is Mal Puirin, just a level 4 priest of Belanik and Azrai, and a small bloodline. He spies on Onwin for the Gorgon and uses the threat of spiritual vengeance to keep the few free, quote-unquote free, peasants of Kiergard from getting out of line. While he lacks the personal power to act out his threats, several minor priests of Azrai work under his command, and their abilities are frightening. So again, another good series of targets for adventurers to potentially take out on the side of Bran Mornsinger, or just on their own volition too, but also certainly worth knowing about, and gives the DM some fertile ground to come up with some frightening low-level priests as well. Now, the description here: Kiergard fell to the Gorgon's armies about 200 years ago, but the struggle over the realm has basically never ceased. A member of the Free Leagues of Brecht, Kiergard has a history of resisting outside rulership. Now that the people are enslaved or beaten down, the land itself is starting to rebel. Earthquakes are common occurrences in the past 3 decades. Some say the Gorgon fears to take a source holding in this land because it might corrupt the power of his other source holdings. But the Gorgon sees no reason to give up his basin realm. It shields him from the Swordhawk and closes off any safe passage that might exist between Brechter and Anweir. Besides, a blasted and ruined Kiergard does please him much more than a free and thriving enemy realm. His gnoll and goblin armies use the area to train and work off excess energy by slaughtering peasants, which keeps the troops from fighting each other. So, creative way of avoiding the typical infighting between goblins, etc., other non-humans. Cities. So, since the fall of Esden, Daum is the only city in Kiergard to survive. Twisted and evil, Daum stands as a symbol of the Gorgon's corrupting power. Those few honest Kiergardians who survive in the city must keep their heads down and their mouths shut, at least until rebellion spreads a little bit more. As we know, rebellions are built on hope. Kier itself, once located in Kierholm province, is only a ruin and a memory now. Onwin has begun building a small coastal retreat in Meckelsburg, probably to escape the watchful eyes and ears of the Gorgon's spies, and that's also where he has that hidden stash as well. So if things get too tough, could be an opportunity where he tries to make a break for it as well. Allies. Kiergard, as the Gorgon's puppet, has many allies. The dwarves of Mor-Kalad pay tribute in medals and warriors to the Gorgon. Some of this is then passed on to Kiergard. The Gorgon's crown, of course, can be counted on for military support, and even troops bearing the shield of Markazor have been seen in this realm within living memory. Kiergard, as a resisting realm, has no open alliances. Whether the rumors are true or not, Brandon and his guerrillas cannot yet count on help from the Kuladerate, and Rormark has its own problems without adopting any of Kiergard's. Muden might become an open ally with some serious prompting, but even the powerful Royal Navy would think hard before challenging the Gorgon directly. So, again, a very complicated situation. There's rebellion brewing, but it's just not developed enough to where it's going to be more open and organized and drawing really any serious outside support. But that could be a fun campaign in and of itself. So just a whole campaign built around liberating Kiergard, if at all possible. Mass and March under the Swordhawk has declared itself an enemy of Kiergard, but with the regular disasters that plague Karl Bissell, no threat has materialized. Periodic rumors also come out of the Vampire's hold about a northern invasion, but no serious threat can be perceived. And then finally, special considerations. Although the overlords of Kiergard have ruled the realm in the Gorgon's name for about 200 years, it is a land on the brink of explosion. Brand Mornsinger has lit the fuse, but he needs help to bring about the explosion. Otherwise, the Gorgon can afford to wait him out. Eventually, Brand will either make a mistake or simply die of old age, and the Gorgon is effectively immortal. So, so sometimes just a waiting game. He doesn't necessarily have to draw himself into any unfortunate events, or just even make these potential little minor enemies more complicated than they need to be. You can just simply ignore them, and at some point they will pass on. So the Gorgon will just keep doing what the Gorgon has been doing. So a fun realm with, again, a interesting history, and again, could be very fertile ideas for campaigning, and maybe bringing it to the point where even if the whole realm isn't reclaimed, maybe a part is able to split off and then sort of refound under, maybe call it like New Kiergard under Brand Mornsinger or somebody else. So that could be really an interesting conflict that could lead to some epic gameplay all around. And with some of the other realms in and around and interested parties, that could certainly be interesting too. Maybe drawing on other evils like the Swordhawk and the Vampire, potentially bringing all that in. So there's just a very fertile ground here for sort of a almost Lord of the Rings-esque type of campaign where you're just trying to restore this former realm to some form of glory and sticking it to the Gorgon in some way, and maybe even making it out alive could be very epic. But let us know your thoughts on Kiergard and how that's fared in your campaigns. We'd love to hear about it. Be sure to drop us a comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll have much more Birthright for you very soon.